5-minute fairy tales. The Elves and the Shoemaker. There was once a shoemaker who lived with his wife. Although they worked from dawn until dusk, they were very poor. "We have only enough leather to make one more pair of shoes to sell," the shoemaker told his wife one day. "What will become of us?" asked the shoemaker's wife. "How can we live without money?" The shoemaker shook his head sadly. He cut out the leather and left it on his workbench, ready to start work the next morning. Then the couple went to bed with heavy hearts. In the middle of the night, when the house was quiet and pale moonlight shone into the workshop, two elves appeared. They were dressed in rags, but had eyes as bright as buttons. They explored the workshop, balancing on the cotton reels and peering into cupboards. Soon they found the letter. Elves are busy little creatures, and so they set to work at once. Snipping and sewing as they worked, they sang, "Busy little elves are we, working by the pale moonlight. While the humans are asleep, we are busy through the night." By dawn, the two little elves had finished their work and disappeared. When the shoemaker came to start work the next following day, he could not believe his eyes. There on his workbench was the finest pair of shoes he had ever seen. "The stitches are so delicate," he said, as he showed his astonished wife the beautiful shoes. "I will place them in my window for everyone to see." Soon, a rich gentleman walked by the shop. He saw the stylish shoes and came inside. The rich gentleman tried on the shoes, and they fitted perfectly. He was so delighted that he gave the shoemaker twice the asking price. "I can buy more leather," said the shoemaker happily to his wife. That evening, the shoemaker cut out leather for 2 more pairs of shoes. He left it on his workbench for the next morning. In the middle of the night, the two elves appear again. They explored the workshop, climbing on the tools swinging from shoelaces. Soon they found the leather. The elves set to work at once, snipping and sewing. As they worked, they sang, "Busy little elves are we, working by the pale moonlight. While the humans are asleep, we are busy through the night." By dawn, the two little elves had finished their work and disappeared. Once again, the shoemaker came into his workshop and found shoes neatly finished on his bench. The shoemaker placed them in his window. By now, the rich gentleman had told his friends about the shoemaker's fine work. The 2 pairs of shoes sold that same day for more money than the shoemaker could ever had dreamed of. The shoemaker now had enough money to buy leather to make 4 new pairs of shoes. "But who can be helping us?" asked the shoemaker's wife. That evening, the shoemaker cut out leather for 4 more pairs of shoes. He left it on his workbench. As usual, then the shoemaker and his wife hid and waited. In the middle of the night, they watched in amazement as 2 little elves appeared. As usual, the elves explored the workshop. They danced with colorful ribbons and juggled pretty beads. Soon, they found the leather. Again, the elves set to work. Snipping and sewing as they worked, they sang, "Busy little elves are we, working by the pale moonlight. While the humans are asleep, we are busy through the night." By dawn, the two little elves had finished their work and disappeared. "We must repay our little helpers for their kindness," said the shoemaker to his wife. The couple threw hard about what they could do to thank the elves. "They were dressed in rags," said the shoemaker's wife. "Why don't we make them some fine new clothes?" Although they were now very busy in their shop, the shoemaker and his wife spent every spare moment they had making their gift for the elves. They cut out fine cloth and leather and sewed tiny seams. Soon they had made two little pair of trousers, two smart coats, two sturdy pairs of boots, and two warm woolly scarves. They placed the little outfits on the workbench for the elves to find. That night, when the house was quiet and pale moonlight shone into the workshop, the shoemaker and his wife hid and waited. They watched happily as the two little elves appeared. As usual, the elves explored the workshop. They made a tightrope from thread and bounced on the pincushion. Soon, they found tiny little outfits. They were delighted. They put on the trousers, the coats, the boots, and the scarves and danced merrily around the workbench. As they danced, they sang, "Handsome little elves are we, dancing by the pale moonlight. While the humans are asleep, we make merry through the night." And then the smart little elves put on their hats and disappeared. The shoemaker and his wife never saw the little elves again, but they but the couple continued to make fine shoes for their workshop, and from that day on they always prospered. The end.